Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, everyone betwixt. I am Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Some call me the Magic the Gathering content creating equivalent of those lore discussions you have with your friends about magic that you probably shouldn't be having and should probably just... yeah.
Vince, I have an important question for you.
Okay.
If Jace really has to go to the bathroom, like take an explosive shit, and he planeswalks, does the shit come with him?
I mean, also, if you think about it, if bacteria can survive inside the rectum of a planeswalker, could I climb inside the rectum of a planeswalker and be taken with them to another plane?
If Gideon is having a really hard constipated shit, and it's halfway out his butt, and then he planeswalks, does the rest of the shit just fall down where he was, or does the whole shit come with him?
And if mid-coitus, if you were like inside a planeswalker, shall we say, would you lose the part of you inside the planeswalker? Or would you go with them?
What happens to shit in the blind eternities?
And why do you keep going back to shit?
Why do you keep kink-shaming me?
But enough of that, you've come here to talk about bans, because modern bans seem to be the topic that everyone talks about at all times. I'm even a little bit sick of it, but I still find myself talking about it on Twitter constantly. Mainly, faithless fucking looting. What a prick. But instead of bans, let's talk about unbans. Why are certain cards not getting unbanned? Why are those cards banned in the first place? The three that often come up are Stoneforge Mystic, Splinter Twin, and Birthing Pod. Now, I want to talk about the real reason that Stoneforge Mystic is banned, but before we get to that big reveal, I want to talk about some of the reasons that people say it's banned that simply aren't true. The first of these is competitive diversity, or the idea that it homogenized Modern. The argument is that Stoneforge Mystic is so powerful, which I'll come to in a moment, that all the white decks would play Stoneforge Mystic packages. Now, in order to demonstrate how bullshit that idea is, I've got Goldfish here on my phone. I'm just going to scroll through and list off white decks that might play Stoneforge Mystic. So I've got Hogak, Phoenix, Dredge, Tron, Jund, Humans. Humans is a white deck. Now, Humans is a deck that uses tribal synergies to create an insurmountable board state to smash your opponent's face in. It is true that it could play Stoneforge Mystic alongside some equipment, but it feels slower and clunky than what it's doing already, and would water down said synergies. On top of that, you have to put Cavern of Souls and Unclaimed Territories on core to be able to cast the fucking thing. I guess you can vial it in as well. And then, don't forget, the activated ability of Stoneforge Mystic is a white activated ability that can't be activated with the white mana from Cavern of Souls, for example. So it has to make its mana base worse in order to play this Stoneforge Mystic that probably wouldn't do anything anyway. Azorius Control? Okay, sure. I do think blue-white control might end up going towards a Stoneforge Mystic finisher. Hell, fuck it. It might not even be just blue-white control. We might have blue-white Stoneblade. We might get Jeskai Stoneblade, Almsand Stoneblade, Mardu Stoneblade. Different variations of Stoneblade decks, which would arguably open up the metagame and give us more fair decks other than Jund, blue-white control, and I guess arguably Humans. Grixis Urza? Yeah, I could see maybe playing some Stoneforge and some variants of that, or Jeskai Urza, I guess. And then you've got another famously white deck in Burn. Fucking Burn. Tron, Mono Red Phoenix, Dredge has some white in it. What the fuck is the white in Dredge? Oh, a singular Leonin of Sanctity. 4-color Hogak, which doesn't have any white. Neobrand, yep, that plays white in the form of Autochon Worm. Oh, another blue-white control variant, okay. Mardu Pyro, that would probably become a Stoneblade deck in all fairness. Amulet Titan, that famously strong white deck. I guess the point I'm getting at, which I'm not going to labour anymore now, is that white isn't really played anyway. There's only a couple of decks in the format that play white. And some of them, like, for example, Amulet, what does it even play white for? Oh, of course, Engineered Explosives. My point is, white isn't very heavily played anyway. Red is the best colour in Modern by a huge margin. You know, Burn, Faithless Looting decks, Mono Red Tron. So you're not going to really damage white's integrity by giving it a decent finisher that probably doesn't even pair up very well against the current threats in the format. With that in mind, let's talk about that a moment. So is Stoneforge Mystic too powerful for Modern, as some might say? No, are you smoking crack? Is there some issue that you want to talk about outside of Magic here? Is something affecting your ability to understand the power level of Modern right now? Have you played any Modern lately? Have you gone to an FNM and played Modern? Okay, FNMs are different. People stay on their pet decks. Actually, Modern FNMs might feel a lot more healthy than, say, your leagues on Magic the Gathering Online or larger events. Hogak was 20% of the metagame at the Mythic Championship, the modern Mythic Championship just happened. What the fuck is a Batterskull really going to do against the turn 2 8/8 with Trample? Being able to make a Batterskull on turn 3 after you've got a Stoneforge Mystic hardly pairs up against Hollow One, for fuck's sake. It's a 4/4. Sure, it has lifelink. Sure, it can be recurred by bouncing back to hand, or flickering it, or equipping it to another creature when you get to 5 mana. But who the fuck gets to 5 mana in Modern that often, right? Modern has become what people thought Legacy was. People think Legacy is a turn 1 or 0 or 2 format, when in reality Legacy has hugely interactive games of Magic thanks to how good the interaction actually is amongst Force of Wills and Cabal Therapies and Wastelands and such. Modern doesn't have any of those floodgates, doesn't have any of those valves keeping it in check. Instead, you just get shit like Hogak. In order to make a Batterskull on turn 3, which arguably would be very good against decks like Burn, for example, or creature-based aggro strategies like Humans, although they could easily overwhelm it, to be honest. But in order to do that, you must first of all play a Squire. It's a 1/2. Then once you've got your equipment, let's say you're playing Batterskull on a singular sword, or maybe 2 swords. Don't forget, Jitte is already banned in Modern, and for good reason. Jitte cannot come back, okay? Jitte is the card that makes Stoneforge so fucking good in Legacy D&T and Maverick. So you're playing your Squire, then you can get your Batterskull, and they bolt your Squire. Fuck! And I'm saying bolt, but there's path, there's push. Push has been printed since Stoneforge Mystic was created. Push can easily deal with the germ attached to the Batterskull, and then you've got a clunky artifact in play, and you're enacting your game plan and probably fucking up the Stoneforge player. Now some of you might be saying, but decks aren't playing that much creature removal or interaction right now. Well, if Stoneforge encourages that, surely that's a good thing, right? Do you know what else Stoneforge Mystic is bad against? Hand disruption. If you go and fetch your Batterskull, and then your opponent Thought Seizes you, you've lost your Batterskull. You are up in terms of card advantage, but you've played 2 mana for a 1/2, a Squire. That's not a good rate. Gurmag Anglers block these bad boys. Imagine a Grixis deck that wants to play Gurmag Anglers other than perhaps Death Shadow or Hollow One. Imagine that in the form. It pairs up badly against Hollow Ones, for example. It pairs up badly against removal. It pairs up badly against just fucking dying to near form combo. I mean, you could make your Batterskull on turn 3, but what if it just can't you on turn 3? I guess the point I'm getting at here is that Stoneforge Mystic's power level isn't even that high. Like, the argument that it would make all white decks play it is kind of dumb, because white is underplayed as it is, and even like the best white deck to play it that everyone thinks about, other than perhaps a Jeskai or blue-white Stoneblade control deck, is Death and Taxes. And Death and Taxes in Modern relies on this guy, Lin Arbiter. And he does not play very well with Stoneforge Mystic. You can play him alongside it, you can play fetch lands alongside it if you're insane, but it's just a bad idea. Don't put tutor effects in your Arbiter deck. You're gonna have a bad time. So I don't think it homogenizes white decks anyway, because there are white strategies, shall we say, that are basically tangentially white because a few cards like Autochog Worm. So that brings me to the real reason that Stoneforge Mystic is still banned. Brace yourselves, kids, because you're gonna be like, fuck, mind blown. Gavin Verhey of Wizards of the Coast owns 10,000 copies of Stoneforge Mystic, and he's waiting for it to be unbanned for the spike to sell out and flood the market. I made that up, that's bullshit, that's not true. Gavin, don't hate me. I love you, Gavin. Don't hate me. Just to clarify, that was not true. What I just said was not true. Gavin Verhey, as far as I know, doesn't have 10,000 copies of Stoneforge Mystic. What if someone at Wizards does, though? It'd be a very good way of making a quick buck. Trying to sell more than like 1,000 copies of a card must be insanely difficult. Selling more than 100 copies of a card must be insanely difficult, right? Imagine if like a Wizards employee just walked up to a vendor and was like, excuse me, how much are you offering for Stoneforge Mystic? Oh, we'll give you $20 for that. Well, I have 10,000 copies. Give me all your money. So that's bullshit. So what is the real reason? Well, alongside birthing pods, Stoneforge Mystic is often cited as constricting design space. What is design space? I hear some of you ask in the comment section down below if I don't explain it, or just going, design space? What the fuck is that?
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Design space is the idea that certain cards make the ability to build or create new cards later on down the line of Magic's design time difficult. Birthing Pod is the best example of this, because when they put a Siege Rhino, Birthing Pod got very, very good. I wish that dog would shut the fuck up. It's not even my dog, it's someone else's dog barking in the park. I got the window open because it's warm in England. Shut up, dog! I think that worked. Then you were podding when you didn't have your combo into like value Siege Rhino chains and fucking people, and people were like, wow, every time they print a good creature, Birthing Pod gets better. So, Birthing Pod got the axe, in the interest of allowing R&D not to have to worry about it in Modern. Which is weird. Very weird, because they claim not to test for Modern anyway. So have they ever gave a shit? Do you think they care about Legacy when they put this bad boy into Commander? True Nemesis can fuck right off. So, Stoneforge Mystic does the same thing, but for equipment. Now, some of you are saying, well, Vince, have they put in a good equipment in a while? Well, let's have a look, shall we? If Stoneforge Mystic still existed in Modern, you would never have got Captain's Claws. Imagine a world where Captain's Claws could not have been made. I'm just going to look down Scryfall's equipment thing to see if I can find anything. A Corder's Shield? Sure. And that's seen some play in Cheerios and shit. Do you reckon Stoneforge Mystic would break Cheerios? Fuck, maybe Stoneforge Mystic would break Cheerios. Argentum Armor? Well, it costs 6 to equip. And it was also printed before Stoneforge Mystic, if I remember correctly, so that's not a fucking problem, is it? How about Avarice Amulet? Whoa, fuck me. Imagine if that was printed alongside Stoneforge Mystic. Fuck! Oh, okay, I found one. Captain's Hook. If Stoneforge Mystic still existed in Modern, they could have never have printed Captain's Hook. Imagine a world without it. Comment down below, actually, if you've ever cast a Captain's Hook or equipped it to anything for that matter. Like, does this card actually see any play whatsoever? Probably not. Apart from maybe Ghostfire Blade, and apparently God's End, and maybe like Runechanter's Pike, there have not been equipment that I've seen almost any play outside of Limited. And even in Limited, most equipment are shit, right? So the real reason that Stoneforge Mystic is banned, because of limiting design space, well, that's bullshit. It's weird, really, because if you think about it, Birthing Pod does limit the design space on creatures, because Birthing Pod does make creatures too good. I agree. Stoneforge Mystic, on the other hand, could do the exact same thing if they're printing equipment that were fucking busted that Stoneforge Mystic would easily break. For example, the new 1-mana hammer has a 10-mana equip cost. It's almost like that card is balanced to be played with Stoneforge Mystic. You can tutor it for 1. Stoneforge Mystic itself allows you to cheat on the cost of equipment, like Batterskull, for example, or the Swords of X and Y, get them in for 1 mana cheaper, or under Athalia, or under Counter Magic. But this hammer is 1 mana. The equip cost is what balances it, because once you've cheated it in with your Stoneforge Mystic through their Remounds or Mana Leaks, the cards that don't see any play in Modern anymore, you're stuck with a hammer with a 10 equip cost. Yeah, it's kind of almost like maybe Stoneforge Mystic will get unbanned eventually, and the hammer is kind of proof of that. Or maybe they're willing to at least consider it. If Birthing Pod limits the design space for creature cards, and Stoneforge limits the design space for equipment, then does this card limit the design space for graveyard interactions? I mean, I guess now that Faithless Looting is kept in the format, it has stopped them from printing cards that are just huge amounts of value when they go to the graveyard, other cards that bring things back from the graveyard, cards that give a shit about you discarding, or how about free 8/8 tramplers that have one of the most broken mechanics ever printed trapped to it, been put into a format where Faithless Looting is the most played cantrip. The best equipment that's been printed since Stoneforge Mystic was printed is easily the extra swords of X and Y, whether they be the Body and Minds and the War and Pieces that came in the Scars block after the original ones in Mirrodin, or the new ones in the Modern Horizons that are arguably, I say arguably, they're almost certainly worse than any of the other swords in the cycle. So nothing is really keeping Stoneforge in check. It's not too powerful, as I've just fucking demonstrated by explaining how Modern is right now. For that reason, it wouldn't be like omnipresent or homogenize the format. It might make a lot of white decks play Stoneforge, but there aren't any white decks anyway, so that's possibly a positive. And the real reason that it's limited is the design space argument, right? But they aren't exploring that fucking design space anyway. So maybe this video is a bit clickbaity. Maybe there isn't a real reason it's banned. Maybe people are going to get sick of me saying it. But remember, kids, let's keep Stoneforge Mystic banned in Modern. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let's look into why Stoneforge Mystic is just so fucking dangerous. Imagine if that Squire was legal in Modern. It'd be a whole different world. Make sure you hit the like button down below. Leave me a comment. What do you think? Do you think I'm being facetious? Do you think I'm talking shit? Do you think my examples and my arguments are bullshit? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, you can tweet at me over on Twitter. I am PleasantKenobi on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hope you enjoyed the video. Share it with your friends. If you've got a friend who likes Stoneforge Mystic or equipment or Voltron EDH, be like, imagine if it was legal and modern and how that wouldn't change a fucking thing. Share the video, like, subscribe, click the link down on my Patreon down below if you want to come join me on the Discord server. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time, be good to one another, and ta-ta for now.